tomorrow. Yeah, decided to give that a bit of a miss.
We've got everything done that we needed to do, and we'll get ourselves ready for Gold Coast.
How important is that extra day just for the players just to mentally unwind during a pretty grueling season?
We're monitoring the group all the time, and sometimes it's not just what goes on the field; it's what goes off the field in terms of your preparation that requires you to come in for that other day. And we feel like our best preparation is to get ourselves ready this way and come up against Gold Coast. So we're looking forward to the contest.
How's Zach Fisher going?
No, he won't play. He came out of the game halfway through the third quarter last week and was hobbling around with a foot or ankle injury, and he tried to do some striding. He's not too far away, to be fair, but we want fit guys. Big part of his game is to be able to run and kick the footy, and if he's a little bit lame in that space, then we're better off just getting him right. So he'll have a spell, and hopefully he'll be right for next week.
Is Colby a like for like there?
Probably, yeah. We need to sit down and select. That's from 3 o'clock. But he and Griff Logan both had really good couple of weeks at VFL level. Griff obviously missed 12 months, and he's got good match conditioning over the next 2 games at VFL level. And Colby's been the same. He missed nowhere near as long as Griff, but missed 6 weeks, and we just didn't want to. Kid in his first year of footy, he's had foot problems before. We just wanted to make sure we eased him back into the full workload of game time, and he's done that over the last couple of weeks. So both those guys will come into the calculations for selection for this week's game.
Just on your back line, so Griff, if he does come back in and the way Charlie's impressed, people on the outside would think maybe you need to top up in that area. Do you feel like you're pretty settled in terms of needs and defence?
Charlie's had a terrific year for us. He's first time he's played defence before, and I think he's in the top 3 or 4 intercept marks in the competition, and so he's been really important for us. But just as important for us was the fact he had durability week to week, just playing games. We have known for a long time his capabilities, but his biggest concern has been able to get out of the park on a regular basis, whether that's to do with training or whether to do with games. And so, it's been really pleasing what he's been able to do behind the footy. Not sure where ultimately he's going to play, whether it's in front of the ball or behind it, but just at the present time. One of the things coming into this season and my time at this club really was getting a really, really strong spine. Griff Logan was a key part of that, recruiting him from Fremantle, but he's obviously missed the last 12 months. So he's still a big part of that. Cal Dawson's come on for us this year. Corey's been playing good footy, and Charlie Combin's come on as a key back for us. So we feel like we're not as poorly positioned as in that space as perhaps we might have been felt like we were going across the summer of last year. So, it's still an area of our game that we need to be stronger at, and hopefully we can keep working on that over the next 12 months.
What do you feel like you have to add, just looking a bit ahead in terms of the off-season tier list? What is it that you think that the side needs most?
Listen, we'll take the talent wherever we can get it, but there's so many different areas where we are on the ladder for a reason, and so we just need to secure talent right across the board. Whether you're talking about outside players, inside players, as I said, we're in the position that we are for a reason, and right across the board. So that's for Brady Rawlings and his team in the list management space to make some assessments. What's the young talent coming through in terms of underage? What else is in the statewide competitions, and then what can we possibly secure through free agency or trade? Every club's trying. There's no perfect list out there in the competition. Despite sitting on top of the ladder, I can bet you a bottom dollar that Kinnear Beatson's not sitting on his backside doing nothing, and they're looking to improve their side too, and they're sitting on top of the ladder. So we'll be doing the same thing.
Paul Rue said today, the Carlton side of the reserves for the boys in the 80s would be this current North Melbourne side.
Did he? Well, everyone's got their opinion there, but you're an easy target when you're sitting on the ladder where we are. So you just roll with the punches. I think all of us have been part of sides that have been, whether we've coached them or whether we've played in them. I thought Roosie might have been one of those too, but obviously not.
Comments like that can't help recruiting and free agency. People are saying that, or do you reckon what's next to make North an appealing place to play?
Well, I think the last 4 weeks have shown our supporters and the wider football public that there's some excitement here, and geez, you don't have to go too long ago to work out where Carlton was and where the Melbourne Footy Club were, and ironically enough, Roosie was at the Melbourne Footy Club when that was happening. So, it's just a cycle, and we just got to stick fat. From the board all the way through the club, the administration of the club, the coaching, the playing group, our supporters, they know the path we're on. We know it's a tough path, but it's not a path that hasn't been trodden before in this game. And as I said, with the Melbourne Footy Club and the Carlton Footy Club, they're probably the two most stark. And Carlton haven't even got there yet. We think they're going to get there because they're second on the ladder and they're playing some really good footy. But geez, I know we're talking about Sydney as being the top side now, but 30 years ago, 30 years ago, they were bottom of the ladder, didn't win a game for a season and a half. Geez, look at what they are as a footy club now. So it goes in cycles, and every team's had their turn at the top, and every team's had their turn at the bottom, and part of it now is just navigating the path back up again.
Part of his conversation was the standard of footy just isn't as good as it was like 40 years ago. You played in the late 80s and you're coaching now. What do you think of that?
Well, it's hard to make a measurement. There's 12 teams in the competition back then, and now there's 18. So, geez, it might be harder to spread the talent, but geez, it's hard to compare eras. The smarter of us wouldn't even try.
What did you make Luke Davis-Uniacke's comments that he wants to stick around and repay the faith of the footy club that they've shown him?
Yeah, well, we've got every indication that will be the case. He's obviously a very, very important player to where we want to go, and he's a high quality lad, and but every player in the competition is given the right to assess his free agency status, and he's no different. And there's decisions to be made around lifestyle, around contracting, around playing, around your club, and all that sort of stuff. And geez, when I was at Hawthorn, the biggest free agent of all time left to go to Sydney, and he got compensated pick 19 in the draft for him. The best player in the game at that point in time. You just roll with the punches on these sorts of things, and we're really hopeful that LD will continue to be a Kangaroos player.
I think he might get sick of being asked about Cam Zerha every week, but he still hasn't got a contract for next year. It seems like the messaging from his end is that he wants to see where the club's at before making a decision. He wants to wait a bit longer. Is that track with you in terms of where things sit? Yeah,
it's the same as what I said. These guys, once they've played 7 or 8 years of footy, deserve the right to be able to sit back and just assess all his options, and then at the appropriate time for him or for any player is make a decision on all the things. Some of it, for some players, it's money. For some, it's are they going to play in a premiership? For some, what's the culture of the club like? For others, it's where they live. Is it going to be at their hometown, or is it interstate? There's a whole heap of variables that go through the minds of all players, and all I can say is when they've played 7 or 8 years of footy and they enjoy that opportunity to consider free agency options, then they're very much entitled to do that. And what we want to do as a footy club is actually respect that process and not try to fast track it in any way. And whether that's to do with Cam or whether it's to do with LD, respect their wishes to just give them the time and space that they need to make their decisions.
There's a report during the week that AFL was considering giving North Melbourne the Northern Territory as a zone. Would you welcome that if that was to happen?
I actually didn't see that, but I was told about it earlier today. it's really not my space, other than to say, as a club, what I do know is that the secondary market in Tassie has been really important for us. I was part of a club at Hawthorn that also had a secondary market. And I think going forward for this footy club, given the success it's had by playing some games in Tassie in more recent times, if we're not going to be able to continue to play away game or a couple of our home games down in Tasmania, where else can we possibly do it? And so at the minute, Northern Territory is a bit saturated with Gold Coast and Melbourne playing games there, but is that going to be forever? I don't know. All I do know is that the club is going to explore a secondary market for where they can play some of their home games in the future to help grow our brand, help grow our footy club, but also provide some sort of financial stability for the footy club, which is what Tassie's been able to offer too. So Jen White and Sonia Hood are the two that are probably more around that space than me, but for all our supporters, I don't think it'll come as a great surprise. Our footy club is probably where it is now, financially secure in the best financial position it's ever been, probably on the back of the James Brayshaw-led decision to play some of our home games and find a secondary market down in Tassie. And I think that philosophy now will continue on to this current board and beyond.
Just one final broader one. Chris Scott said last night he doesn't feel the four umpires is working to the best of their ability. There's a bit of overruling, maybe too many voices out in the field. Where do you sit on 3v4 given you've coached?
It's a tough one because it feels like the poor old umps are getting bashed every week from everyone, including at different stages coaches. Not that we deliberately try to bash them, but things happen in the game, the emotion of the game. They've got the toughest job. We had 2 umps come to training today, but even the execution of this new stand rule that's been in for the last 3 years or thereabouts. We've just had, there's 160 on average thereabouts uncontested marks a game, plus another, let's say 30 or 40 free kicks, where an umpire has to adjudicate the protected area, the stand, the rule. I mean, as if the game wasn't hard enough beforehand. Now we've just added another complexity to what is a really, really difficult game to umpire. I just really feel sorry for them. And I think I only read the headline around what Grant Thomas had to say, but anything, I'm not sure what the contents were, but what I do believe is anything we could do to make our game simpler to adjudicate, whether it is to do with the holding the ball rule or whether it is to do with the stand rule, or I think there's ways that we could take away a lot of grey out of our game. But that's not just my view. That needs the views of coaches, media, supporters, the administrators of the game to get together into a forum and say, how can we make this easier for the umps rather than smacking them over the head every time they make a decision when they've got to make thousands a game. Even the non-decisions they've got to make is still a decision, and to not blow the whistle, and that makes it really tough for the poor lads. So, yeah.
Gold Coast on the weekend. Do you think the pressure's a bit on them coming down here, not having won an away game this season so far?
I don't feel like they'd have as much pressure after their win against the Pies last week. They played some terrific footy. Listen, we know we've got our work cut out. The middle of the ground is going to be so critical. We lowered our colours to the Dogs in that space last week. Gold Coast beat Collingwood in that space last week. Gold Coast lowered their colours to Fremantle the week before in that space. There's a fair form line to suggest whoever wins the middle of the ground is going to win the game. So we're hopeful to be better in that space on Saturday against Gold Coast, knowing full well that with Rowell and Miller and Anderson and these guys through the middle of the ground, they're very, very talented in that space. So we're going to need to be at our best, and if we can be at our best, we'll challenge Gold Coast. But if we can't be, then it's going to be hard work for us.